What's up guys? Welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
I wanted to slam my fist into Emperor Rudra's face because my rage was just as strong as before. In addition, if I concluded the war on this indecisive note, it would undoubtedly result in more catastrophes. I really wanted to be as thorough as possible since we had already come this far. It was my responsibility as king to take care of any threats to my realm. I was starting to feel like it would be okay if I left everyone alone besides Rudra now that I had regained my sense of reason, but it's crucial to keep going. I had a task to complete, so I had to see it through. The enemy might have had other plans, but perhaps I didn't mind ending it here. And to show that she was still alive and well, Velgrund was glaring at me and brooding in her prison cell before me. Veldora had been safely set free, but for some reason, Velgrund was enraged. I really wasn't interested in going through the pain of engaging her because winning wouldn't do much for me, but if she was a threat, I had to get rid of it.
Velgrund no longer poses a danger, although every possible countermeasure has been put in place. Not all of her skills have been fully examined.
Dr. Seal certainly exudes confidence. Or perhaps conceit?
No, it is the solemn truth.
It would be a travesty if I lost after having been informed of it, but perhaps I didn't have anything to worry about. Even in the most recent combat, I was successfully blocking all of Velgrund's blows. I could probably shut her down without even trying very hard if Seal was with me. I believed that deviating from the original strategy was pointless. I wanted to seize the chance to completely destroy the Empire so that there would be no more killing. There were still a number of sizable hotspots scattered over the battlefield where the Black Corps was present, and no one else on the enemy side was now worth my time. It didn't seem strategically foolish to attack Velgrund here while I could because I was likely to clash with Rudra sooner or later. The 4 personal bodyguards of the Emperor also appeared to be a major threat, and the Empire continued to have Lieutenant Kondo and Damrata on their side. Yuki's mind was being controlled by Rudra as well. Therefore I would have to eliminate him along with the rest of the adversaries. Additionally, if my calculation is correct, there should be one more single digit to deal with. I have no idea who they might be, but if they are at least sage level, you should keep a close eye out. So, even if I ignored Rudra and Velgrund for the time being, I was still up against 8 formidable opponents. I discovered a number of other enemies while scouting the battlefield that I would describe as threats, and I decided that we needed to eliminate them immediately. Even though they were quite powerful, despite my calling them threats, they didn't truly represent a threat to me. My magicule count has increased by over 10 times after becoming a true dragon. That gave me significant increases in the quality and amount of power I could use. I actually felt like I was much stronger than before. My fuel tank was at its fullest because I hadn't taken Veldora out. Essentially, I felt like I was operating at full capacity and could compete with Guy or Milam. Whoa, hold on. I must resist developing an ego. If you psych yourself up like that, something will inevitably go wrong. Let's be on our alert and move with the utmost caution. Additionally, I saw that the threats I had first discovered were currently engaged in combat with Benimaru and the others as I was just now scanning the area. I did give them directions, but I was astonished by how quickly they carried them out. But were they adhering to that other order, the one about not killing themselves? But let's worry about it later. I just hope they don't try anything risky in the name of lightening my load, or whatever. In front of me was Velgrund, who appeared poised to attack me at any moment. Once I dealt with her, I could decide whether or not to support my boys below. I decided what I would do in less than a second. The next issue was figuring out how to combat her. Start off by using Release Storm Dragon, which is a component of the ultimate skill Veldora, Lord of the Storm. That would let me to summon Veldora so that we could go 2 against 1 on Velgrund, making victory all but certain. I've come to realize that in the past, my magicule count was rarely, if ever, filled to the maximum. I had a sneaky hunch Veldora was in a released, free state the entire time, which may have contributed to this. By this time, Veldora and I resemble one another somewhat, and we are each able to revive the other if necessary. It wasn't quite how Velgrund's parallel existences worked, but it was still a near unfair invincibility code. Lending him my magicule seemed like a little price to pay for that. Furthermore, Veldora's overflow magic streamed right across to me, so this wasn't really a hassle. If anything, I felt more energized by this type of power flow. Because of this, even if Release Storm Dragon had certain drawbacks, they were outweighed by its benefits. So I immediately used it.
My adorable little brother. How dare you?
Velgrund was now screaming at me. I think it's more like, how dare she?
Hey, it was you who made the initial move. In addition, you attempted to incite a conflict between Veldora and me. What's going on with that?
Silence. I feel sick at the thought of someone like you consuming Veldora. Though I've always known he's weaker than I am, I find it hard to believe that a mere demon lord could bring him down. I will never forgive you for destroying him, and I will not accept his extinction.
Then an incredible amount of heat rays were fired at me by the enraged Velgrind. Sadly, they didn't work on me, but at least I picked up a few things from our conversation. She was so enraged because I had eaten Veldora that she believed I must have killed him and wiped him out of existence. I had a simple solution for that: just invoke Release Storm Dragon, and everything would be resolved. But
hold on, Rimuru.
I was halted by Veldora himself.
What?
Worried, I inquired.
Rimuru, pay attention. Is it true that my sister is furious because she believes I have vanished?
Sounds plausible. So maybe we can prevent needless conflict if you can come out and we can clarify things.
You're such a fool. Quit being so rash. It would be extremely weird for me if I revealed myself to be completely safe right now. She'll direct her wrath at me rather than at you.
What a foolish response. He made me feel like a damned fool for having listened to him.
I was afraid I was going to die of a heart attack.
It was obvious that I couldn't rely on him at this moment. At the most crucial times, he is so worthless. Suddenly, Seal cut me off from chewing him out.
Just a second, please. Perhaps I should use this chance to enhance Veldora's abilities. I've already obtained permission from him, so please refrain from invoking Release Storm Dragon until the skill's reformation is complete.
Its tone was just as charming and kind as before. The new ultimate skill Nyarlathotep, Lord of Chaos, would replace Veldora's previous one, Faust, Lord of Investigation, according to Seal. Given that this was a evolution, there would be a significant increase in strength, but what particularly struck my attention was the statement that Seal already obtained permission. Evidently, Veldora knew about him beforehand.
Since when have you been friends?
He learned about me after you, Sir Rimuru, evolved into a demon lord.
Veldora added the following clarification.
I was aware of it, but only recently did I feel completely certain of its existence. After all, I've never heard of a simple skill developing sentience for itself in the history of this world. However, Sin-type skills are known to have an ego of their own, so I started to wonder if it had been possible after all.
So, even at the time of the Great Sage, Veldora had suspicions. He claimed to have been keeping an eye on a few things inside my stomach, and he frequently described what he saw as being weird and enigmatic. He was essentially certain of it once that evolved into Raphael, Lord of Wisdom, as a result of my Demon Lord evolution, though. It turns out that he had been communicating with it up until that moment, evidently believing it to be me the entire time. I wasn't upset by it, but I was intrigued about what they talked about. Regardless, Veldora was familiar with Seal. That was the crucial part.
Okay, so you were acquainted, and you accepted its suggestion? Is that correct?
I did, in fact. I had hoped to take on my own sister, but given the situation, I'll leave it to you, Rimuru.
I'm glad to see him back to his normal two-timing ways. Isn't that exactly the contrary of what you were saying earlier? Additionally, Seal is far too eager to experiment with his abilities. Although I didn't think it was the right moment, maybe it would be less of a hassle if they tried those things when Veldora wasn't restrained. In addition, I had a slight curiosity in exploring my abilities. I had to test my current strength because I would have to face Rudra in the future. Velgrind would be a great test subject for this. I could utilize her to see how I had changed in a variety of ways now that the pressure was off, no pun intended. I should probably finish it while I can, right? While I'll be watching out for my pals, my first priority will be honing my skills until they're actually in danger.
That seems like a wise choice.
It also seemed to make Seal pleased, so I was all set to go, but it had a follow-up suggestion for me.
I may now combine the ultimate skills Veldora, Lord of the Storm, and Uriel, Lord of Vows, to become Hastur, Lord of Starwind, as a result of my various analyses. Do you want to proceed?
Dr. Seal simply never stops, does it? I'm about to battle Velgrind here. How much free time does it have? It almost seems as though it no longer considers Velgrind to be a challenge. I really wish it would reserve skill tinkering for regular business hours because it looks to be doing it as a new hobby or something. I had no choice but to reject this idea for the time being.
Hey, you might eventually come up with a better way to change them, right? Why don't you think about such stuff later when you have more time?
Very well put, Master. Understood. I'll keep looking for ways to accomplish more.
Right. I'm delighted it supports my position. Even though I'm not sure what was so very well put about it, I can now focus on the battle. In addition, despite the advantage I currently hold, Uriel was rather successful against Velgrund, and I don't want to lose that established advantage. And yes, Belzebuth might be all I need to win, but this isn't a game. Any failure would be very unacceptable, therefore I can't let my guard down. In addition, I am aware that Seal thinks too highly of me. I believe that from now on, I will only pay it lip service. However, Ciel's obsession with tinkering with skills was a touch frightening. Despite the fact that Veldora was currently in its direct line of sight, he gave it the go-ahead by saying that it was acceptable. The actual issue wouldn't surface until after this conflict. I knew that all of my pals who had awakened to their Demon Lord forms would have some significant skill modifications waiting for them. I had no doubt that Dr. Seal could figure that out quickly, and I sensed that it would be eagerly anticipating the chance. Or perhaps it was already working diligently. However, the confrontation with Velgrund was about to start even as I was worrying about it. I was floating in the air while the red dragon glared at me. The battle abruptly started after Velgrund instantly changed into her human form. She slashed away with her azure dragon sword while firing rapid-fire nuclear cannon strikes at me. What made her human form different from her dragon form? The main deciding factor was the variation in defensive force. They were identical offensively, but the human form was significantly more energy efficient. That directly relates to being able to battle for longer, so taking on a human form is probably the best option for prolonged combat sessions. However, the sheer size of Dragon Mode was an undeniable advantage all on its own. Her attacks had the same power, but a much wider range, proportionate to the size of her body. That allowed her to fight multiple foes at once, and even if it were only one, it would be difficult to evade assaults from such a huge creature. The defense is what seals the deal, though. Finishing off someone so massive required an onslaught similarly large in scale. A sword was unlikely to function, and most magic was just too little in scale to matter. Even putting aside the fact that not much magic worked against true dragons to begin with, any magic created for human-sized targets was ineffective. It had to work hard or it wouldn't really do much harm. So going into dragon mode was certainly the stronger bet, but Velgrund picked her human form instead. And I knew the explanation.
She might be trying to give up all defense so she can kill you, Master.
Looks like it, huh? I'll go with it, then. Velgrund's diabolical wrath only helped to accentuate her attractiveness. She swung her blade with enough force to slice me in half as the object of her anger. I was not, however, going to take that lying down.
New episode alert. In Solo Leveling Episode 17, Sung Il-wan reveals a dire warning about an imminent catastrophe. This changes everything. Don't miss it. Watch now.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel.
Shout out to the new members of AnimeKouhai supporters: Bismarck Munoz, Arian Brooker, Jerry Sladek, Kamal Luke, Izat, Mr. Santo, Akshay Devat, Alfonso Smith, M. Wei Jun. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.